Hi, everyone. This is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and I am excited to be with you this evening. We're going to be talking about a bunch of planetary energy that are affecting so many of us. We are going to be talking about kind of what personality types are kind of coming out of the woodwork. And I think that's the interesting part, like how this energy is kind of amping up right now for this type of personality to come forward, and it's coming forward in a lot of different ways. But the really interesting part is how it's coming forward and how it's being revealed to other people. That's kind of the quirky part for me. So, hi, Miss Sandra. We have some people jumping on. So, we're talking about planetary energies and kind of how it's affecting not only us, but affecting other people. And that kind of, hey, Miss Tamika, I haven't seen you in forever. Gigi's on. It's one of those like, so we have so much amazing energy coming at us, and it's meant to be helpful. It's not meant to hurt us or make us anxious or anything else, but it's also kind of showing us kind of like where you missed something, where you didn't do this right. And I think of it often as like, when my kids were little and we would wash dishes and I'll be like, oh, here's a spot you missed. It's not like, oh, you're a bad person. It's, here's the spot that you missed. Here's what we need to do. Here's that way we need to fix it. Or when you wash clothes, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize my favorite shirt has a greasy spot on it. So how am I going to fix this? How am I going to change this and modify it? So it's kind of just showing you where things are coming up. So one of the things that I have been noticing in probably the last 18 or so clients in the last like 2 to 3 days, all of them are dealing with narcissistic people, and they are like coming out of the woodwork in a very different way, in a very like weird way kind of thing. And it's almost like they can't hide anymore. And that's really what the energy from our last solar eclipse happened. Even though we didn't see it from where we're at, it did happen on our planet. And so that energy kind of just eventually gets around to us. And that's the really cool part, is this narcissistic personality. Let me talk a little bit about what narcissistic means. If you've been to my class, you've kind of learned the basics of it, and this is kind of just a little bit of that. So narcissistic personality disorder is a mental condition in which people have inflated sense of self, importance, almost a deep requirement for excessive attention to be put on them, and admiration, kind of like they have to be loved and accepted by everybody, and they really thrive on troubled relationships. They enjoy like the chaos and the aftermath of like, the chaos energy. They like literally, it's like, let me throw this at everybody and then let me sit back and watch how everybody deals with this. And that's what's kind of like coming up for other people. They are unable to have true empathy towards others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence, because when you first meet them, they just seem like, oh my gosh, they're the most confident person in the world. They just have this confidence that just kind of like rolls off of them. Really, it is like a costume, because underneath that is this teeny tiny, fragile personality with very little self-esteem, that is very vulnerable to even the slightest disapproval, blame, or criticism. And it's one of those, like, it just like, if you were to criticize something they did, instead of saying like, oh yeah, what you did was absolutely perfect, they would just push, and it goes crazy energy. Let's see. Narcissistic people will have issues in many different areas of their life: relationships, works, financial stuff. They are very generally unhappy. They're usually sad most of the time, because it's like a big energy strain to constantly trying to keep everybody loving you and on the top. That sort of thing. And if you're if you have a lot of narcissistic people around you, they can kind of slough some of that off on us, psychic people, and it will make us like tired, sad, kind of like Jen is saying, like melancholy, just kind of like, and it's one of those, they're all around us, and it's one of those you really can't like move away from them too much. So it's one of those very difficult to deal with. I one of the things that I think is, anytime that you're dealing with a narcissistic, this is kind of like some signs of ways that you can deal with it, like understand who the narcissistic is around you. It's everything is always about them. Even if it's your birthday, your anniversary, or anything else, they've got to do something to draw that attention to them. They almost have an entitlement sense to them, and like requiring that everybody kind of like excessively, fawn over them. It's almost like, yes, it's your birthday, but oh, we're so glad so and so is here, and they just love that energy. They exaggerate their achievements and their talents, like what they're able to do. They always are constantly monopolizing conversations. And even if you were to get something in, as soon as you did, like they'll flip it back on themselves. And, oh, yes, if you're like, well, I just had a car accident, someone rear-ended to me, like they would immediately jump on that. Well, 2 years ago, someone jumped, did this. And it's like, wait, I just had this accident. I want to talk about what happened to me. And it's always flipping it back on themselves. And whenever they can, they are going to put other people down. Hi, Miss Shelley. One of the things I think is really interesting dealing with narcissistic people is that they expect favors, and they expect people to just comply with what they want. Their expectations, like, it's me. Why aren't you just doing what I want? Why aren't you dealing with all of this? And they take advantage of others and what they want to get. So it's one of those, if you're standing between them and what they want, they're going to walk all over you. One of the weird things is they always believe that others are envious of them. And it's one of those, it's kind of interesting because most people are like, I would not trade lives with you for anything. And they also have this kind of like behaving very arrogantly, like I'm above everybody else. If y'all have some narcissistic people in your life, let me know. What's happening right now is that for many, many years and generations, they have been able to hide. They have been able to kind of put this aside, and they have been able to kind of hide from other people, kind of in a weird sort of way. And it's one of those, they're always drawn to people that are clairsensitive, kind of like they have that sensitive energy, I'm saying, like they're just drawn to us because clairsensitives are people pleasers. So we want to please everybody all the time. We want to please, 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 please. Well, who wants to be pleased? A narcissistic. And so they're like drawn to our energy. And then it's always like this come and go. And it's one of those, the weird part about this is narcissistic people cannot handle boundaries. And clairsensitives have a hard time putting boundaries into place. So it's like the perfect way to deal with that. Yes, everybody's like, yep. It is very difficult to deal with. But right now, what's happening on the planet is that they used to be able to hide this. And I almost say, like, if you had a beach ball and you put it under the water, if you were in a swimming pool or in a lake or whatever else, and you held it under, they can hold their crazy down for a period of time. And then it gets to the point where you can't hold it down anymore. It's like pops up. So their crazy pops up and scares everybody. And they're like, oh my gosh. And then they're like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. And you get back into that honeymoon stage with them. And so it kind of like this keep going on. Let's see. They have a very difficult time. They become very impatient or angry when things, when they don't receive their special treatment or their special stuff that they think they deserve. They have interpersonal issues and problems, and they feel slighted, and they hold grudges forever. Because one of the weird, interesting things about narcissistics is you're either 100% for them or you're 100% against them. There's nothing in the middle. There's no, oh, she's, 96% my friend, or she's 52% my, whatever. No. You're either 100% for them or you're 100% against them. There's nothing in the middle. So that's kind of what enrages them. It's like, I should be getting this special treatment and I should be treated this way and that sort of thing. And so it just overwhelms. Yeah, Gigi, it's one of those, Thank you so much. One of the things, and I'll go into that really quick. So one of the things is Gigi's talking about my Psychic 101 class. I am doing another Psychic 101, and this one is all online. And we do our kickoff class. Kind of, we get together all online. If you're interested, email me, and I will send you a link to it. And it will be on the 14th. We start at 8:30, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And we're going to be talking about the classes and what I teach and how I teach. And then we'll kind of be breaking up into groups. This is only an online class, and I'm not sure what time frame we're going for. We will start sometime early January because it's an online class. Just so we don't want to interrupt the holidays and that sort of thing. But this is a great way to kind of learn the basics about your abilities. So this is kind of one of the things I teach in the class. So they react with rage or contempt anytime anybody tries to belittle them or try to make them appear, you know what I'm saying, like the other person make themselves feel bigger or whatever it is. They have a great horrible time regulating their own emotions and behaviors. It's one of those, they want everybody else to behave, but they can't behave themselves. And then they get mad at you because you're not behaving the way they want you to. They literally are almost 100% unable to deal with stress and adapt to change. It's one of those, I think that's the interesting one, because that's what they want everybody else to believe that they're really good at, but they're the ones that can't do it. They are often depressed and moody. And this is kind of like I said, this is where they kind of bring in that clairsensitive energy, is they kind of throw this depression and this moody energy and overwhelmed energy onto other people around them, usually clairsensitives. And it's really because they feel that they've been slighted or that they have some type of imperfection that they can't hide from other people. Their secret feelings is insecure, shameful, vulnerability, and humiliation. That is like, and for them to be humiliated is just, they would just implode. The other one I think is really interesting is a narcissistic is unable to truly apologize for anything. If they were to truly heartfelt apologize for something, I swear they'd probably implode. They just can't handle it. So one of the reasons why this is all coming up at this time frame is we've got our energy in Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius is a fire sign, and it kind of brings up a lot of passion, a lot of temperamental stuff, a lot of dynamic energy coming up with it. And we're in the Sagittarius energy right now until I think the 22nd or 23rd of December. It's one of those, this is kind of like adding fuel to them, and they're just not able to kind of like stay hidden. Sagittarius energies are all about kind of bringing over energy, kind of bringing in surprises. And it's one of those, a lot of people are going to be showing off their prosperity, their success during this time frame. You're going to see that at Christmas parties or Christmas events and stuff like that, kind of like, oh, I got a new watch, or I got a new bracelet, or I got this. And it just kind of keeps overwhelming them, like I don't feel as successful as I do. And so that's when they get into that really moody kind of energy. Let's see. There are chances right now, it's like people are looking for things to fix or bring forward in their lives. And that's why the narcissistic can't really hide, because people are looking at themselves going, I'm not the one that's moody. I'm only get tired or sick or overwhelmed when I'm around so-and-so. That's how you know. That's how you know this is it. Will the energy make you feel like waves? It can feel like waves as it comes in, because you not only do you have the Sagittarius energy, you also are dealing with, just a few days ago, or like 5 days ago, we had a solar eclipse. 14 days prior to that, we had a lunar eclipse. And all of that is literally like amplifying what we can see and amplifying things that can't be hidden anymore. Things that we would want to kind of like get rid of or do something else with, like we want to hide. It's one of those that is really highlighting, and that's where they're kind of like, I'm not able to hide. I'm not able to kind of bring the energy to forward that I would like to. and the energy is really high, and that makes them feel really unstable at this point. So that's kind of like an interesting energy. But that's kind of going into that. On top of this, we've got the solar eclipse, we've got the lunar eclipse, and then we've got Sagittarius energy. And then on top of everything else, we have Venus going into retrograde. Okay. And Venus started its pre-shadow energy on November 17th. It will station and turn full retrograde on December 19th. And then it will stay in full retrograde until January 29th. And then it will go into post-shadow from January 29th until March 1st. So it's not in retrograde all that long, but Venus in retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, and we're about to go into Capricorn in just, like I said, in a couple of weeks on the 22nd, 23rd of December. This is going to amplify the narcissistic personality. This is going to amp it up. This is going to bring a lot of energy that people are not quite ready for, that it's kind of overwhelming. So Venus in retrograde can bring up fears of being rejected, not literally being rejected, the fear of being rejected. That's what we just talked about with narcissistic people. So it's kind of like, hello, these people are dealing with that. They are kind of reassessing. A lot of people are reassessing their kind of relationships. And that's where most of us, if we're not narcissistic, we're kind of like, ooh, like every time I'm around so-and-so, I get tired and I don't feel well. And I feel grumpy for, a couple of days afterwards. And maybe it's not me, maybe it's them. That's when we're reassessing and they're going, oh my gosh, now I'm not able to hide my energy around this person. And it kind of makes it a little bit differently. Taking away from our ambitions and our goals. It's going to kind of like just make us want to kind of like, where is this negative energy coming in from? Let's see. People getting along during this Venus in retrograde, people are going to be kind of like focusing on their kind of like their sense of going on, what is protocol and how it's coming in. Remember, we talked about narcissistics. They can't do this very well. So that's where it's going to even feel even more overwhelming for them. And really, people are going to be especially annoyed by people that are overstepping the lines or overstepping the boundaries. And that's part of being narcissistic. So they're going to be like even more like, oh my gosh, this is all against me. Okay. So a couple of dates to be really aware of. It's going to be super, super amplified with this negative narcissistic energy and Venus in retrograde. A couple of dates to be aware of. Let's see. December 19th and December 29th are going to be really high energy days for them. And it's one of those, if you have narcissistic people around you, hide. It's a good day to stay at home in your pajamas. Like literally don't go out, don't talk to anybody, because they're going to be on high alert and wanting to amplify their energy and kind of fluff it off on other people, which is going to be overwhelming for everybody else. And it's going to fire them up of just kind of like, because we're going to have a conjunction. Venus is going to conjunct, and I know that they're going to kind of get really close to Mars, which is all about war. And so they're going to be more impulsive, and there's going to be kind of rude and that sort of thing. And that's why I said that's a good day to stay at home and stay in your jammies. The other date I would say that's going to be really important is January 8th. And that is kind of some energy coming in. We're going to have a full moon, a new moon, and it's going to kind of bring this cycle of bringing in new stuff, and it's going to kind of renew our energy in Venus itself. And so kind of just bringing up that energy and kind of like making it feel stronger. Okay. Gigi is asking, are narcissistic... Okay, hold on. Are the narcissists that we have left behind going to try to contact us? One of the things I would definitely say that narcissistic people during this time frame will kind of be reaching out, and that's kind of a lot of like Sagittarius energy more than anything else. The thing is, though, is like you were saying earlier, Gigi, it's nice to block a narcissistic when you can, but sometimes you just can't. Sometimes, like, it's your husband or your mom or a family member or someone else that's around you, and you really can't just go, I don't want to talk to you. So there are some ways to kind of work around their energy or kind of make it easier on you. And it's one of those, when you're around them, always make sure that you're speaking your truth. And a lot of times what narcissistic people do, and I kind of put them on a scale, so it's kind of like the bigger, stronger narcissistic people will make you feel overwhelmed, will make you feel like, like, why do I feel this way? Why is coming up? That sort of thing. I think that's kind of like the weird comment about it. So it's kind of like just like they can't hide, and they're going to be kind of reaching out for us. And so it's important for you to learn how to work against them, to kind of bring them out. So when you speak your truth, you're doing that. When you amplify your energy of, no, that's not the truth, the report was due on X date or whatever else. When you say, no, mom or husband or whatever else, like, our agreement was blah, 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 and you hold them to it. It's one of those, it's like you're putting their feet to the fire of like, I'm not going to let you get away with this. I'm going to hold you to what you should be doing at this time frame. That's what's important. One of the things that, like, narcissistic people, if you remember what we were talking about with narcissistic people earlier, is narcissistic people love to control situations. So when one of the things that, I have a lot of narcissistics in my family as well. One of the things that it took me a long, long time to learn, and this is really hard for clairsensitives, to say the word no. No is a complete sentence all by itself. So everybody repeat after me, talking to your computer screen. No. A narcissistic is going to hear that no and go, I'm plowing straight through this. Like, I am not doing this. I am plowing straight through this. But please, you said you were going to do this last week or whatever else, and you said no. One of the things is, when you ask a question of a narcissistic, especially a direct, clear, truthful question, they kind of freak out. So the best thing to do is say, I've already told you no. Why are you trying to control me? Stop. Stare at them. Don't let them answer any other question. If they go, well, blah, 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 it's like, no. The question before you is, why are you trying to control me? Well, but dinner needs to be put on. No. Why are you trying to control me? Go back to the original question and don't let them go. Don't let them off kind of like the pressure cooker until they answer the question. That's most important. I will tell you that over the last, like I said, 18 clients or so, I have been working with a lot of clients that are dealing with family members that are narcissistic, family members that are just overwhelmed at this time. And they're kind of like, how do I work through this? How do I deal with this energy? It's really important to kind of amplify this energy now. How am I going to deal with this? And have your plan and have your ideas of what you want to happen or how you want it to happen, and don't deviate from that. Because it's almost as like when you tell them, like, okay, step number 1, we're going to do this. Step number 2, we're going to do that. Step number 3, we're going to do this other thing. So we have this, that, and the other thing. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. They're almost like, ooh, how can I mess up her calendar? How can I do this? You know, it's one of those, all of a sudden they call you and they have a flat tire, which blows your whole evening. All of a sudden, the line was too long at the grocery store and they couldn't get dinner. Whatever it is, like, they just love messing with our calendars, messing with our stuff. And under Venus in retrograde, it's going to amplify our requirement to kind of stay on task, which is kind of make them feel out in left field. Because it's like, I want to mess with her calendar. And you can say, well, yes, I'm so sorry that you had a flat tire. I can pick you up in 45 minutes when I'm in that area. Not drop everything right now and go deal with you. It's one of those, I'll be there in 45 minutes. And that just makes them implode, which is kind of a fun thing to watch at times. Almost need popcorn for that one. Carmen is asking, first off, she's taking notes. Treat them like a child and explain everything like we were talking to a 2-year-old. It is in some way, because it's one of those, but they're almost like taking notes. Like I said, it's almost like she said, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. This is the order. They're going to do anything they can to do the other thing first, and then the this and the that. Whatever it is, like they want everything to revolve around them. And when it doesn't, they get angry and frustrated and upset. And the higher the narcissistic number for most people, it's one of those, like, they have to feel like they're in control. They have to believe they're the ones that's calling the shot. Otherwise, they can't deal with it. Does that make sense? Like, they just can't deal with this part of life and what's going on around them. Let's see. I would say one of the things that's interesting is after, on our dates between the December 19th and the 29th, watch for a lot of confusing situations. Try not to say too much, because a lot of times, like I said, Carmen, if you are talking to someone who's a narcissist, like you said, talking to them like a 2-year-old does help at times, but it's almost, like I said, they're kind of like taking notes of she wants to do this first and this second and this third, and they're going to be like, let me get this situation confused. No, you said you wanted to do this other thing first. And so just so they get their way of, I'm controlling what's going on around them. Make sure that you are doing damage control for yourself. Now, one of the things that's really, really, really important that's going to amplify not only narcissistics, but us as well, is Mercury goes into retrograde. And I do not want y'all to freak out. Mercury going into retrograde happens 4 times in 2022. So don't freak out about this. Mercury in retrograde isn't that bad. And it's one of those, once you learn how to deal with it. So to kind of get ready for Mercury going into retrograde, start anything that you would be starting during that time frame. So instead of starting something during Mercury in retrograde, which, because new things don't really work well in Mercury in retrograde, start it now. Like if you're going to be doing a Christmas dinner, make sure that you're purchasing your items now. You're not waiting until then. If you're inviting people over, make sure you invite them now. Don't wait, because then that's something new that you're adding on. Or if you're doing a New Year's celebration or whatever it is. So that's a really important thing to have. The other thing is the energies right now, all the way between now and January, are really perfect for kind of setting your vision boards for what's coming to us in 2022. So what's really important is to understand is start your vision board now, today. And that could also include how to deal with a narcissistic, kind of amping up your energy, putting on there to remind yourself several times a day to keep your energy protected from them. That's very important. The more you kind of amplify that energy, the better it gets. The more you put your protection levels up, and all my 101s, 202s, my 303s online all know what I'm talking about. Keep your protection levels up so that their energy is not affecting you near as much. It's one of those. And then going into Mercury in retrograde is kind of bring everything to an end. Mercury in retrograde is a great time to review, re-look at, whatever it is. It's a great time to start reviewing your taxes. It's a great time to start reviewing your year. I have several videos that I've been working on, and they'll be launching probably in the next couple of days throughout December. And it's all about like how to get your vision board together and how to get your ideas together. So that's really what's important, is working on this part is going to help you, but also put on your vision board, as one of your visions could be, is how to work with the narcissistic energy. Because hiding from them can be really fun for a while, but it's one of those, they will keep popping up in your life over and over and over again until you learn how to deal with them. Once you learn how to deal with them, they kind of start like, I don't want to be around her. She knows how to deal with us, and we don't want that. So that's the important part, is learning how to deal with them so they don't come around. When they see you, they're like, oh my gosh, run for your life. Here she comes. That is better than sometimes you have to block them until you're ready to deal with it. So make sure that you're ready for that. Anybody have any questions about narcissistic people around them? Anybody have any questions about Mercury going into retrograde, Venus in retrograde, or our Sagittarius energy that's on our planet right now? Anything that I can answer for you guys, we got a couple of minutes left. Anything that's coming up for you guys, anything you want me to answer relating to narcissistic energies, Mercury in retrograde, Venus in retrograde, and Sagittarius energy. I will tell you, I'm going to chat for just a couple more minutes and then see if I get any other questions. This is really important to do this at this time frame, because once, like I said, once you learn how to deal with them, they run from you. They don't want to be around someone who knows how to manipulate them or push their energy back on them. I'm also going to do a couple of angel cards while we're at it. Okay, Carmen's asking, how can we protect our kids from narcissistics? So it's not really, it is a protect in an area. It is, yes, it is a protection. And at the same time, teach them how to communicate with them. Teach them to stay focused. Does that make sense? Like, don't let that narcissistic personality win all the time. Teach them, like, hey, why am I not number one on the list? Why am I not more important? Or that, does that make sense? Like, don't I matter? Don't I count? That makes things much easier than run and hide. If you teach them as a child how to do it, they're going to be way better in the long run. It just is the way it is. Shelly, I am not doing angel cards for general purpose. I will do one, and it will be in my newsletter. There will be one coming up that I'll be doing either, and I don't know when it is. You'll have to look at my newsletter. And it will be one of the old ones that where I'll answer your questions, but I'll have to be submitted in advance. So I get clear questions, but I'm not doing that for current situations. If you require a reading, you need to reach out to me. So the first card I pulled for this is friendships. And one of the things that a narcissistic people will do is they'll pretend to be your friend. They're going to pretend to be your best friend, amp up your energy, kind of all of this kind of stuff. And it really doesn't help. It actually just kind of more, their idea of a friendship and other people's idea of a friendship is completely different. So that's the part that really can overwhelm them is, you know, what does a friendship relationship look like to you compared to a narcissistic? Well, a narcissistic would want someone who always wants to be in the background and never have any limelight on them. Where most people are like, oh, it's your birthday. Yes, you can have the limelight today. You can be the star today, but next week is my birthday and I get to be the star or whatever it is. There's a balance to most relationships. A narcissistic is never going to have that balance, which is the next card. When you're dealing with narcissistic energy, you are never going to be in balance with them. You're going to have to learn how to balance your energy on your own, and you're going to have to learn how to balance with them as well and stand up for what you choose to have or what you would like to have in your life. This is something that's really important. This is, Carmen, is what you need to teach your kids. Your kids require knowing how to balance the energy with the narcissistic, how to deal with it, how to make sure that they get themselves heard, that they're not the ones that are being put on the back door all the time. Power. The number one thing that a narcissistic wants is power. They love power. And usually power for them means the person who has the most money. And that's kind of the way they deal with things. So the person who has the power has the most money. And so they're always driven to be very successful people. They're driven to be outward more than, inner people. But it's one of those, it's kind of an energy of like they're always trying to find the one who's most powerful and dominate that person. And it doesn't usually work. Self-acceptance. That's what's kind of like the strange part of this. Narcissistic people really don't self-accept themselves. They do on the outside, but not on the inside. And that's really kind of what Sagittarius energy is. That fire energy is bringing up people who want to be accepted for who they are and what they bring and that sort of thing. And it kind of brings this narcissistic part out because you're going to see them not being able to balance or be able to deal with that type of energy. Okay. Harmony. One of the things that narcissistic people love more than anything else is someone who just wants to be at peace or be in harmony. because they will do whatever it takes to make the person complain. Stop complaining, stop witching, or whatever it is. And so it's one of those, so that usually the clairsensitive person is kind of like, let me just keep pleasing you and keep doing everything that you want me to do so you'll stop complaining at me. But it never actually puts it into harmony. And they kind of bring all of the energy, like, we'll just do this because dad wants to do this or mom wants to do this, and they're the narcissistic and that's what we need to do. So they're always trying to find peace and harmony with everything that's going on around them, yet they're the ones that are not in harmony. They're not being peaceful, but they want everybody else to comply with what they want. And once they get that, they're not even happy. It's like, it's never enough for them. There's never a time that they're really happy with that energy. There's never a time that they're really satisfied, like, wow, how do I do this? How do I deal with this energy? It's one of those, no matter what you do, it's an inner thing for them. You can't fill it up from the outside. Only they can fill it up, but they don't even realize that there's something wrong. Okay. I thank y'all for joining me tonight. We went over a few minutes. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on next Thursday. I'll know by Tuesday if I will be. If y'all have any questions, make sure that you reach out to me if you wanted to schedule an appointment. I do have tickets still available for my New Year, New You 2022 group reading. It'll be here in Sugar Land. It's from like 1 to 4 in the afternoon. That's coming up. And then I've got, let's see. I do a lot of holiday shows, a lot of holiday group readings because everybody's in, and so everybody wants to talk to whoever's passed, that sort of thing. That kind of just makes it kind of more fun. I do have several large group readings already scheduled, so let me know if you have a date in mind. Next, we're talking about Psychic 101, December 14th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to get a link, make sure you email me and I will put you on the list. We'll be talking about what is taught in the classes, what I teach, how I teach it, and then going into scheduling if everybody is agreeable to that. So that'll be kind of an interesting part. And then my advanced students, anybody who has finished Psychic 101 and feel like they are ready for Psychic 202, we will be doing a Psychic 202 kickoff the next night, December 15th. This is a great time to kind of amplify your energy. I used to let people bypass 101 and go into 202, but I have learned in the last few years that actually you need to learn the way I communicate with you, the way I deal with the meditations, so we can amp up your energy. We are all working towards right now doing a 404 later on this year. So I'm going to do a 202. I'm going to do a 303, and then I'm going to do a 404. And so we're kind of amping up that direction. Each of them have their own energy, their own set of rules, what you're learning, how to learn with your abilities. All of that is really, really important. So if you're interested in getting kind of on the bandwagon, make sure that you reach out to me, and so I can get you on the calendar, and then you can go through my website and get a ticket for New Year, New You group reading in January 2022. I thank y'all so much for joining me tonight, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.